Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing another quick draft of Innistrad Midnight Hunt, and I'll be testing some new audio settings, so let me know if it sounds any better or any worse to you all. Trying to see what I can do on my end in the back end to try to lower sibilance for headphones and earbud users. So if it's any better or any worse, once again, let me know. I'll probably be playing around with it for some time, but these are the settings that I've got for now for today, so this is the audio you're gonna get. So without further ado, let's just get into the draft. So our rare here, Fateful Absence, is pretty solid. It's a nice, efficient, instant speed removal spell. The big issue with this card is you do 2 for 1 yourself when you use this. You blow up their creature, but you allow your opponent to draw an extra card later, so you fall behind in card advantage. So you need to blow up something really important with this for it to be great. Whereas if we really want a removal spell here, which is probably what I'm going to take, we can just take an Eaten Alive, which can also be incredibly efficient at a downside. The downside of this one is that you have to sacrifice a creature, but when you have a decayed zombie lying around, that's not that big of a downside. Plus, 5 mana sorcery speed, exile a creature, planeswalker is still really good. So I think I am going to take something similar to our rare. I am going to take an excellent removal spell, but I'm going to take the common over the rare. We have some fun uncommons here, but nothing so powerful that I want to take them over the very nice, very good Eaten Alive removal spell at common. So that's how we're going to start here. Pack 2 here is pretty weak overall. There's not a great follow-up to Eaten Alive. Occultist and Behemoth are just pretty okay. Not a huge fan of either of those. We could take Gale Drifter. That's one of my favorite cards in this pack. Just a solid flyer that gives you value by being able to come back from the graveyard later. So pretty big fan of that card, plus blue-black is really where you want to be, especially in quick draft in this format. Burly Breaker's a fine, just big dork, but big dorks don't tend to play super well in this format, which is why werewolves are pretty big underperformers, just because black has, Eaten Alive, Defenestrate, Olivia's Midnight Ambush, and more. So just some big dork with no other abilities is not the greatest thing ever. Sunrise Cavalier is a great aggressive card, but it is completely off of our first pick. We wouldn't be in black at all to play this card. Have to complete pivot here. It is definitely early enough to do that, but again, I'm pretty massive fan of blue-black in this format, and I try pretty hard to do what I can to end up in that color pair, especially in quick draft. Alright, this pack has a lot of good cards, not a lot in blue or black again, although Arrogant Outlaw is pretty fine. But I like Silversmith a lot, especially in blue-white. Putting those counters on a couple flyers is great, so we could start moving into that direction. Eccentric Farmer is a pretty great green value card. A 3-mana 2/3, mill 3, and then draw a land from your graveyard to your hand. Pretty great. Yeah, I think Farmer, Arrogant Outlaw, and Silversmith are my top 3, but Burn the Accursed is also pretty good, because it's exile sort of removal. Yeah, Outlaw is the weakest of these 3 cards, but it does keep us to the colors we currently are. It's definitely not as good as Vampire Spawn was in the Dungeons & Dragons sets. That card was nuts. This one, not as good. You have to deal damage to your opponent before casting this to get that enter the battlefield trigger, but still pretty good. I think I'm going to go Silversmith. I just think this card's very efficient. Getting a lot of power and toughness onto the board. Very, very good with evasive threats as well. Alright, in pick 4 we get a really nice follow-up to potentially heading in the blue-white direction again, and that is the Shipwreck Sifters. This is a 2-mana 1/2 that when it enters the battlefield you draw and discard a card, and whenever you discard a spirit or card with Disturb, you put a +1/+1 counter on this, so you get great value, because if you discard a spirit or a card with Disturb, that's a card that's going to come back from your grave later, so it's almost like you drew 2. Or it's almost like you drew 1 and didn't discard a card. Plus this thing just sits there getting bigger, so Shipwreck Sifter is a really nice role filler for the blue-white deck, and we'll scoop that up here. Other pretty great options are like Silverbolt, which gives any deck some mediocre removal. But I like that it fits into everything. Geistwave and Gale Drift are also pretty fine. That's about it. We'll go for the Shipwreck Sifters here. Alright, we got a couple of the best black commons in the set. The Ecstatic Awakener, that you get to flip by sacrificing another creature and drawing a card for 3. Or the Hobbling Zombie, which can be a way to get a decayed zombie. Kind of a 2 for 1 there, a Death Toucher that trades off and then leaves behind some sacrificial fodder. Awakener is just absolutely nuts in the format, and it's, I think, like the best black common. I'm not actually sure. But there are plenty of great ways to get decayed zombies, so it's okay to take the Awakener before you have those zombie producers, and that's what I'm going to do here. Like to get some hobbling zombies, but we can take those later. Awakener is just absolutely disgusting. Well, speaking of decayed zombie producers, there is a ghoulish procession here. Problem with this card is it makes those zombies pretty slowly. It's every time a non-token creature dies, so if there's a lot of trading going on, this can be pretty good, but it does only give you 1 per turn still, maximum. A lot of games there's just going to be evasive creatures flying past each other. This card's really bad with exile-based removal like Eaten Alive, because you exile something and you don't get a zombie, right? Because I sack my decayed zombie, which is a non-token, so I don't get a zombie off that. And then I exile something my opponent controls, so I don't get a zombie off that because it was exiled. Yeah, not a huge fan of the Ghoulish Procession. It can be really fun in like the black-white sacrifice. I don't think it's going to be super great for us here. Kind of want to just take No Way Out. This is one of the best Mind Rot variants we've had in recent years because the added bonus is pretty huge. A 2/2 zombie with Decayed, lots of ways to use that. We already have Eaten Alive and Ecstatic Awakener. So this is a Mind Rot that gives you that full benefit of when you draw this and your opponent has 2 cards in hand, you're living the dream, just like you are with a regular Mind Rot effect. And then when you draw this and they only have 1 or they don't have any, you're still getting something. So No Way Out actually plays pretty well, and I'll scoop that up here. All right, we've got Consider for nice little card draw and Fading Hope for some cheap interaction. There's also the more expensive counterspell here. I think I'd rather just get some more interaction. I like Fading Hope a lot here. Just a strictly better unsummon, and unsummon's already pretty good. If your opponent goes for a double block, you can really get them. If your opponent drops like a 5-drop, you can just bounce it back to their hand, make them recast it next turn. If there's a cheap creature on board and you really need to hit a specific land or non-land or something, then you can just bounce the cheap creature and scry during your opponent's end step. Pretty flexible, pretty nice card there. Alright, now we've got a Larder Zombie, which is beautiful in the blue-black decks. Gives you a great way to use your zombie tokens when you are not sacrificing them, just to set up your draws and make sure you are always hitting gas. Nothing great pick 9. I'm not a super big fan of the Component Collector, and that's the only card that could fit in the blue-black deck, so I'm just going to take a Clarion Cathars here, which I think is the best card in the pack. Just a pretty nice card at helping trigger Coven, which is one of White's main abilities, wanting creatures with 3 different powers on board, so this puts a 3-power and a 1-power creature on board. It's also good with the sacrifice decks in white, in white-black, so it could end up getting in the deck if we get pushed into white-black alongside this Gavany Silversmith. Evolving Wild seems like a great pickup to me here. Mana fixing for whatever we end up playing. Now, Neonate's Rush is definitely the best card, but we're very far away from playing red, so I'll just take a filler white card here, like a Ritual Guardian or something. Haven't been a huge fan of Homestead Courage, but theoretically there is like a red-white spells deck where you get to cast this for cheap on your little Pumpkin Devil, the 2-mana 1/3 that gets +2/+0 when you cast an instant or sorcery. Be pretty nuts in there. I don't think it's going to be super great if we're like white-black or blue-white, though. I'm just going to rare draft a Field of Ruin for Vault Progress. And we'll take a Component Collector that we don't really want to play and see what we open up in Pack 2. So we have a Slaughter Specialist here, a 2-mana 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you give your opponent a 1/1, and whenever a creature they control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on this. This seems like solid for the mana cost. Feels like you're getting like a 1-mana reduction, but giving your opponent a 1/1 in trade for that. That seems solid. Foul Play, destroy a creature with power 2 or less, and Investigate can be a nice 2-for-1 removal spell if you use this on a small creature. I like Foul Play a lot. There's also Ecstatic Awakener, the best black common, and Hobbling Zombie, another great one. I think I want to just take Foul Play here, just really nice cheap interaction, puts you up a card because you destroy their thing and draw a card. So I'm just a huge fan of removal spells like that are like remove a card and draw a card. That's just pretty absurd. So I'm going to take that over the Slaughter Specialist, but that's probably the second best card in this pack, because this can get big pretty quickly. So if your opponent doesn't have the cheap removal, it's going to be great. If they do, it's going to be really bad. If you drop this, give your opponent a 1/1, they untap and then cast Defenestrate or something, like, you're very unhappy, but yeah, I guess that is a big downside. The games where your opponent has removal go pretty poorly for you. I don't know, I'm taking foul play either way. Now we're definitely taking Infernal Grasp. This is such a good removal spell that it is seeing multi-format play, I think. It's definitely seeing play all over Standard. Just incredible, incredible unconditional removal. You just have to lose 2 life to blow up any creature. Pick 3, we're finally going to get our first Hobbling Zombie, which works really well with our Eaten Alive and our Ecstatic Awakener. Not much else that's notable for us in blue-black. It's just that and Otherworldly Gaze. The best cards in here are probably like Join the Dance and the nice little Blessed Defiance Combat Trick. Pretty weak pack there. Okay, pick 4, we get a Defenestrate or a Shipwreck Sifters. Corpse Cobble is a fun build around, but I don't think it's as good as those other 2 cards because those are just way more consistent. This one you really have to have the board state set up for it to do what it wants to do, which is start turning all your decayed zombies into one big menacing zombie, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this card requires setup before it does anything, whereas the other 2 kind of just immediately work every time at any point in the game. And I'm just going to take Defenestrate here, I think, just more efficient removal. Shipwreck Sifters is very good, but it's really, really good in the blue-white deck, and we definitely look like we're going blue-black and not blue-white, where it's just going to be okay. And Defenestrate's definitely going to be incredible. Startle is a really efficient way to get a decayed zombie, so I like scooping that up here. Consider's nice as well, just always makes your deck a little more consistent. Occultist is fine, Processions may be fine in Evolving Wilds, but definitely going Startle. Definitely going for another Startle. Everything's working out pretty well for us to just be blue-black decayed here. Should be a good time for us, and get a nice pick 7 Scab Wrangler. That's incredibly late. This is a really good way to use your decayed zombies. They can't block, but they can really defend you when you have a Scab Wrangler on the board that lets you tap down your opponent's biggest threat every turn. Scab Wrangler is excellent in this kind of deck. I think with my Eaten Alive, Ecstatic Awakener, and Scab Wrangler, and Larder Zombie, I'm at the point where I just want infinite decayed zombie producers, so I can just take a 3rd Startle over Covetous Castaway. But this card is fun, and it's pretty solid. A 2-mana 1/3, when it dies, you mill 3, and then when you bring it back from the grave for 5 mana, you shuffle any 3 cards from your grave back into your library, as well as getting a 5-mana 3/4 flyer, which is a pretty good deal. So it's definitely Castaway or Startle. But I think we've got enough ways to use the zombies now to scoop up another Startle. Really go in that direction. We wield the Hobbling Zombie, which is beautiful. Everything's going nice and easily for us. Let's get a 4th Startle. That way I can have enough cantrips in this deck to just mill myself out and lose. And we did wield the Corpse Cobble, so we can actually play that, try that out. That's a really fun way to use your decayed zombies. Just stack them up into one really big menacing threat. Throwing some nonsense in the sideboard and opening the final pack, and we get one of the mythic uncommons in the set, the Morbid Opportunist. This is a 3-mana 1/3, and whenever one or more other creatures die, you draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. This card is absurd. It's going to give you tons of card draw, especially if you have decayed zombie production, which we do, because those decayed zombies, you can just have them sacrifice themselves whenever you want. Just once during your turn, each turn, you can just choose to attack with a decayed zombie and have it sacrifice itself during combat. So really, really nice combo with the Morbid Opportunist. Plus, this card just in general, even without any build arounds, is going to draw you a couple cards throughout a game, which is pretty ridiculous. So Morbid Opportunist, huge card draw engine, we'll take it here. If it weren't in the pack, Falcon Abomination's an incredible, really efficient, evasive threat. 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer is fine, but it's also giving us a decayed zombie, which is spectacular. Okay, a second Morbid Opportunist. This is actually a little bit of a rough pick. I'm pretty sure I'm going to take the second Morbid Opportunist. I'm a little worried I'm going to mill myself out now, because I have 4 Startles and 2 Morbid Opportunists, but I don't think I can pass up on the Morbid Opportunist for almost anything, but we did get past an Eaten Alive, which is the biggest card in contention with that. Luckily for us, we do already have Defenestrate, Infernal Grasp, Foul Play, and Eaten Alive, and Fading Hope, so we have a lot of interaction. I can hopefully pass up on Eaten Alive for Morbid Opportunist. Oh my god. I am genuinely at a loss here. I don't know what I'm supposed to pick. We are getting so paid off in Pack 3. It's Organ Hoarder versus Blade Stitch Scab. Instinctually, I want to say I'm supposed to just take Organ Hoarder. But at the same time, I have so much card draw because I have 2 Opportunists and a ton of cantrips from Startles. I kind of feel like I just want more ways to pressure my opponent's life total and actually like try to win the game immediately. But Organ Hoarder does definitely help win the game, a 2-for-1 every time. But Blade Stitch Scab really does, especially in this archetype or blue-black zombies. Feels a little rough, but I think I'm taking Blade Stitch Scab over Organ Hoarder. Normally I'd take like nothing over Organ Hoarder, but you know, maybe this is dumb, but I'm taking a Blade Stitch Scab. And we didn't wheel, we got a pick 4 Eaten Alive that will absolutely slap in the deck. Excellent, excellent removal. Oh my god, triple Morbid Opportunist? I can't resist. I could see it being like Bait Hook Angler here, so we have just more actual creatures that are attacking and stuff throughout the game. But triple Opportunist, I mean, come on. Can't resist that. That's just hilarious. Now we have Flip the Switch, which is a nice cheap counterspell that also gives us that ever important Decayed Zombie token. Another Shipwreck Sifters is fine. Another Fading Hope or another Flip the Switch. Those 2 cards actually work really well together. Bounce the opponent's card for only 1 mana, then hold up the 3 mana needed to counter it. I think because I'm so committed to the Decayed strategy, we just take another Flip the Switch and get some more zombies. Falcon Abomination Wield, that's incredible. That's very, very good. That's definitely better than our 5th Startle. So we'll scoop up a Falcon Abomination. A Bait Hook Angler Wield, that's great. We've got plenty of ways to sacrifice this thing for value. And just being able to recast it later is value as well. Take that over 3rd Sifters. Geist Wave is actually worth mentioning in this deck as well, because the Geist Wave lets us bounce something then counter it with Flip the Switch. And the Occultist, again, it's fine sacrifice fodder, but it doesn't really do anything when you're not sacrificing it. So I prefer like Hobbling Zombie and Bait Hook Angler kind of cards that are just really efficient cards to trade off, even if you're not specifically sacrificing them. Another Larder Zombie definitely makes the cut. That's sweet. Bladebrand could make the cut. I think we have enough removal that it won't. But the idea behind Bladebrand is that it works well with your Decayed Zombies, because you can have a lot of positions where your opponent has a 4/4 or 5/5 out or something, and you're just attacking with a Decayed Zombie, and they're like, oh, they just want to get 2 damage in, block, and then you're just like, ha, Bladebrand. My zombie's a removal spell. That's the idea behind Bladebrand being this set. The problem is they put it in a set where black has like 50 removal spells anyway, so you would just rather play cards that you know are going to kill whatever you need, like Eaten Alive and Defenestrate. We have a 50 card deck right now, which means I need to cut 10 cards. We're at 17 creatures, but some of them are very weak, like the Component Collector. It's actually the only very bad creature we have in the deck, so we could go 16 creatures here. Gale Drifter, Abomination, triple Hobbling Zombie, triple Morbid Opportunist, Scab, Scab Wrangler, Shipwreck Sifters, Bait Hook. The Sifters are a little weak. We don't have much flashback. We have 1 flashback card and 2 disturb cards to go with these Sifters, which is where they really pop off. I guess they still can just draw discard, help us more consistently hit lands or non-lands, whatever we need at the time. They're still probably fine. So 9 non-creature cards are getting cut here. Could maybe cut like everything that doesn't make a zombie, except for our removal spells. I definitely could, and then I'd still need to cut more cards. Oh, this is awkward. Maybe 4 startles a lot. I like Fading Hope with double flip the switch, but I don't know that we just have room for that. We might not need to be all in on the counter spells when we have 2, 3, 4, 5 removal spells, 4 of which are unconditional. Actually, Defenestrate is conditional. Can't kill flyers. 3 of them can kill any creature. Then 1 can kill anything but flyers, 1 can only kill small creatures. Quadruple Startle doesn't straight up our creature count because Decayed Zombies don't really count as creatures because they only attack 1 time and they never block. But that might be enough to like justify just dropping the Sifters because I have to cut 9 cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh my god. Too much gas in the deck. How do we win the game? Just get a bunch of Decayed Zombies and then play a Scab? Or just attack with a 4/4 a bunch? Couple flyers maybe? Shipwreck Sifter is definitely not a win condition either, so we can cut that, but I don't know how we're closing the game out. I guess by just having 5,000 cards in hand off Morbid Opportunists, killing everything on my opponent's board, and then attacking with like 1/3s and 2/2s. It's gonna be obnoxious, but might work out. A Quadruple Startle might just be too much. I have to make room. Let's drop to 3 Startle, and then I still cut 6. That would be every card that I've set aside and a land getting cut out of here. Don't really want to cut a land. If I cut Gale Drifter, it feels like we're just completely out of creatures that can actually, like, damage my opponent well. It's the only way to cut, like, 6 cards. Is to cut something else we've got in the deck right now. Maybe we have enough value we don't need to go for the foul play. That only kills creatures with power 2 or less. Like, I feel we have enough value and we have enough removal. So we're doing well on both of the fronts that foul play covers. Although Startle into foul play is hilarious. That lets the foul play kill something with power 4 more. I was kind of content to cut the foul play until I realized that we could Startle into foul play. That would be awesome. That would just be dramatically cool. I'll cut one of the larger zombies, I guess, and then I guess I have to cut these 3. Not in love with that. But I want to keep Triple Opportunist in because it's hilarious. So that's what I'm going to do. And that is going to be the deck. Let's check our mana base. We have 13 black cards and 11 blue. Nothing that requires double black. I guess Eaten Alive could, if we pay the additional cost. But that's still very close on mana. It's still close enough. I think we go for the 50-50 split here. 8/8 and Evolving Wilds. And the reason I'm going for 17 lands, even though my curve kind of looks a little smaller, they have, well, I guess I did cut one of the larder zombies. The idea was that I had 2 larder zombies, so I had multiple ways to start filtering through late game land draws. But now that I only have 1 larder zombie, maybe I'd cut a land to put something else back in. Double larder zombie, I think this deck definitely runs 17 lands. But with just 1... But then the problem is, what am I putting back in, if not a larder zombie? I guess I could throw a Consider in, and this kind of just replaces a land. Long as I've got my blue source at the start of the game. This helps dig towards the next land if I need it that badly. And this is a much better draw than a land late game. Because then if there's another land on top, we mill that and draw into some actual gas. Yeah, like Larder Zombie or Consider, I think would go in if I want to play 16 lands, which I guess is reasonable. Our average mana is 2.3. I'll just put a Larder Zombie back in. Guess I'm supposed to cut an island here, theoretically, because I've got one more black card, but looks like the blue mana is a little more important early game. 2, 3, 4 blue cards, 5 blue cards that cost 2 or less, and only 2 black cards that cost 2 or less. If you don't count this removal, which we're probably not playing till later anyway. Does look like the black cards are more late game stuff. Our 3 drops and all of our removal is in black, which means we can play all those later. I'm going to do that just to make it more consistent that I just have a blue source turn 1, slam down a larger zombie and pass. Seems pretty good. We'll see. Alright, here is the final deck that we will be playing today. It is a blue-black Decayed deck, one of the best decks in the format, because these colors are just absurd. They have tons of card draw, tons of removal, and that is what this deck has as well. We have 2 Eat Alive, Defenestrate, Infernal Grasp, and Foul Play for removal. We have Foul Play, Triple Startle, Ecstatic Awakener, Triple Morbid Opportunist for card draw. So we're just going to be fueled throughout the game with tons of interaction and decayed zombies, and hopefully trying to finish things off by attacking our opponent with a ton of zombies with Blade Stitch Scab, or maybe one of these random flyers. We're definitely a little bit low on finishers or ways to actually close out the game, but we have tons of interaction to make up for that, but it may take us quite a while to defeat our opponent. Might be some grindy games here, we'll see. But definitely another draft. We're going to be playing the menace of the format here, the blue-black Decayed deck. Alright, here we are on the play in game 1, an excellent hand. We grab our blue source with this Evolving Wilds. Then the world is our oyster. We can do as we wish. Ecstatic Awakener turn 1 from our opponents. They are on blue-black as well. We've got that Morbid Opportunist turn 3 now, which is pretty sweet. I expect a lot of blue-black mirror matches today. I'm going to get this Morbid Opportunist down before our opponent has mana for a Flip the Switch. They could have a Startle up here to stop the Scab damage for the turn. That might be what they want to do. If they have cheap removal... Yep, I was going to say if they have cheap removal, then we get to just draw a card off the Opportunist, so that's fine. But I don't think there's any removal at common for 2 mana that could kill the Scab there. They could have Infernal Grasp, I guess, at uncommon like we do. This is definitely a Flip the Switch. We've got a Startle to cast during our opponent's turn, and it's pretty much just as high impact as anything else in our hand. Hand's not doing much here, so I think I would like to attack with Scab. If they sack the zombie to try to flip Awakener instead of casting Flip the Switch, then we can grasp the Awakener. I think they still get to draw the card. Maybe they don't. I guess we'll find out. I mean, we'll definitely draw a card when they sack a zombie. Nebelgast Intruder. Weird. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I guess that's definitely safer than just going for the flip on Awakener. So that is fair enough. I don't know if I'd rather kill Intruder or Awakener here. Kind of okay with the flyer. I kind of want to just shut off their card draw here. Though it's easier to try to get them with like an instant speed Infernal Grasp at a later time on Awakener than on Intruder. Yeah, but still, I think I'm just going to shut off there. Oh wait, no, I don't get to kill any of them. What am I on about? I have 0 power. I thought I still had 1 for some reason. Yeah, let's just make sure our creature doesn't die then. And draw. Now I get to hold up Infernal Grasp. I don't know what happened with my brain there. I guess I thought for some reason that Blade Stitch Scab was giving itself +1/+0. No idea why I thought that, because it's definitely not. Okay. Send in the squad. Probably worth sending in the decayed zombie as well here to guarantee that we're drawing a card, but I'm pretty sure a creature's gonna die here. Maybe not. Alright, so this could be one of the 3 or 4 mana counter spells, and if they don't have to counter something, they flip Awakener. So we want to put them in a position where they do want to counter something, so probably drop Hobbling Zombie here. It's an infinitely larger deal if Infernal Grasp or Eaten Alive gets countered. Revenge of the Drowned. Interesting. Might want Infernal Grasp while they're tapped out then. Pop the Awakener and then draw a card. Sure, because I still have an Eaten Alive backup. Diregraph Horde. We did not get any of those in our draft, which is rough because that is one of the best finishers. Big old 3/4 body that comes with 2 decayed zombies. Pretty nuts card. We want to eat the Horde alive while they're tapped out. Although, I can Hobbling Zombie on the Horde. Maybe just eat the Intruder. Then I don't get to attack with anybody. It's fine, we'll play the value game when we have an Opportunist on board. Grind it out. Another Eaten Alive. Shipwreck Sifters from our opponent. Draw a card, discard a card. Midnight Ambush the Hobbling Zombies, so we do not have a Death Toucher, but we do draw a card and get a Decayed Zombie. Now we'll have a Scab Wrangler, which is very nice. Opponent has 1 card left in hand, and they do not have the mana for a Flip the Switch. We're probably just eating the Horde alive. I guess it's not necessary if Scab Wrangler stays around. See what their trick is here by attacking. See if they want to do anything about that or if we just draw a card. I'm still going to have 4 creatures after this for Startle? Alright, sure. But yeah, I'll still have 4 creatures for Scab Wrangler. They're getting to the point where their decayed zombies are going to be lethal, which is problematic for sure. If we play Hobbling Zombie and we pass and we don't tap something down with Scab Wrangler. So if I were to tap something down with Scab Wrangler, I'd have 1 blocker up here against this board. We're gonna pass. Nice. Double up on the Opportunists. I don't want to mill out. If I foul play the Angler, they just get to play a flyer. Exile it with Eaten Alive, but I don't have any Decayed Zombies. I've got a Startle for that. You know, let's just plan to mill out at this point. That's like a Pyrrhic victory or something. Actually, Pyrrhic victory is like a victory, but at what cost? So it's not like that. Probably should have just startled to get a zombie. Yeah, we need a zombie for our Eaten Alive. If I play a flyer, I've got a win condition now. Even if they counter it, I can recast it from grave, so now I have a route to victory. There's an occultist. Alright. Oh, Falcon Abomination, another flyer. Oops. We're just gonna start jamming. Six damage in the sky per turn. Crawl from the cellar. Return an Awakener to hand and put a counter on the Diregraph Horde. Very good value, especially since they will sack the Novice Occultist here. Okay. Moderately awkward land draws here. I'd love to have double blue for double startle, but I don't think there's anything to foul play. Could eat alive the Diregraph Horde, I guess. It's their biggest, scariest attacker. And I still have foul play double startle. Yeah, it's worth it to sack the zombie and draw 2 cards here for sure. Since that thing can't block anyway, and it's not going to get in right now. Oh, opportunist number 3? Tempting. The more opportunists that I play, the sketchier it gets. Alright, I'm not that disappointed with my opponent sacrificing the... Oh, I'm disappointed that I already played my land per turn. That was bad. But I'm not that disappointed by my opponent's... kind of don't want to play this opportunist. Not that disappointed by my opponent getting extra value by sacrificing the Horde when it was going to die anyway, because they've got 5 Decayed Zombies anyway. Alright, they're going to bounce the Gale Drifter, that's fine. Plus they have an Occultist they could have drawn 2 off of. So yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Opponent has the Awakener to flip. Oh yeah, I guess they get... Yeah, okay, I am disappointed. Never mind. I'm a fool, a buffoon. Opponent gets to recast the Diregraph Horde because it didn't get exiled. Not yet. Not till next turn, it looks like, mana-wise. So they're still dead in 2 attacks of the Flyers. At this point, I just want to cycle one of these to draw a card. Why not? There we go. See if I can get some good interaction like that to be able to hold up. And we definitely did. Alright, no flips of the switch today. That is very nice for us. So we get to attack with both of these next turn, and that will be lethal, hopefully. They're going to sack the Angler so that they have a flyer. Alright, that is reasonable. We've got the foul play to blow that up. So they will not have a flyer. Alright, Hook Haunt Drifter. Hopefully they tap out for the Diregraph Horde now. Rather than just holding up instant speed stuff, because then I'm a little worried about potential instant speed removal. I guess they have 7 mana, so even if they play Diregraph Horde, they have the mana up for Infernal Grasp or Olivia's Midnight Ambush. so it could be bad. Either way. There is the diagraph horde. Oh yeah, I can just tap the flyer with the Scab Wrangler. I don't even have to kill it. Sure, I'll take 3 and then draw 2, I guess. Actually, I might have already drawn 2 this turn. Nope. The odds of milling out are ever more. Ooh, a flip the switch is a beautiful draw. Alright, and they scooped them up. They didn't even have removal, but now if they did, we have the flip the switch as well if they don't cast it right there and then. Actually, even if they did, we have the mana for flip the switch now or next turn. Excellent draw off the Opportunists. Really the Opportunists game there, letting us draw so many cards to make a comeback there, even though our opponent had a really nice blue-black Decayed deck as well. So it's going to be 1-0 to start it off. Here we are in game 2 with another definite keep, another Morbid Opportunist hand to try to just out-card advantage our opponent. It's going to be against another blue-black deck here. They're going to start with Ecstatic Awakener. They could be black-white. Awakener plays well in black-white as well. I'm going to foul play that Awakener immediately before they have the mana to flip the switch on me or flip the Awakener on me. I'm missing out on a tiny bit of Morbid Opportunist value there, but I'm pretty okay with that. When it starts with Falcon Abomination, I would rather play my Falcon Abomination first and then my Opportunist next turn. So we can play the Opportunist on a turn where a creature may actually die. Well, the creature might actually die right now. That's definitely Startles in hand. Not definitely, but probably. Alright, Hobbling Zombie. Can drop an Opportunist and a Larder Zombie this turn, which seems fine by me. And pretty sure our opponent has Startle here, so I don't really want to be blocking with our Falcon Abomination right now. Let's send that thing in. Draw our card off the Decayed Zombie. Get another land, that's pretty solid. 5 mana lets us hold up Flip the Switch and Infernal Grasp, potentially. We get absolutely handled by Startle if I double block here, so let's pass. And even if they didn't have Startle, it'd be a pretty bad block because they just kill both in the trade. We are losing a lot of life here. Infernal Grasp looking pretty painful. Now that I have definitely the opportunity to hold up Flip the Switch, I might actually hold Falcon Abomination back on blocks. And then we can counter this Startle if they try to use it to have their Abomination beat ours. We're still going to have a problem with this Hobbling Zombie though, because I just don't have good blocks aligned for that. Another Hobbling Zombie. Yeah, this is bad. Hobbling Zombies are not a good time for us. This is an Eaten Alive as well. Well, we're drawing a lot of cards off the Opportunist. It's putting in... It's put in its work before it died, at least. But yeah, this does look pretty bad. 2 cards in hand, one of which is almost definitely Startle. 13 life here. I feel like I'm at the point I just need to... get as many blockers as I can, so just play Larger Zombie Gale Drifter. Next turn I get to hold up all the interaction. They can only startle one thing unless both cards in their hand are startle. Yeah. And Gale Drifter kind of makes up for getting 2 for 1 because it's 2 for 1 itself. Lets us play another 2/2, which can trade into like any of their cards. So yeah, we're just going to block all 3 things here. At this rate, I think. Which plays fine against 1 startle, but if they have 2, it's going to be really bad for us. Alright. They do not want to startle anything there. So we dealt with all the permanent creatures now. Maybe they never had a startle. This doesn't really hurt that bad. I'd rather keep Flip than Grasp, because unless it's a great 2-mana creature, then we flip the switch instead. I don't know, that could have been wrong. I think I'm going to draw the card here and hold up Flip the Switch. This makes it less obvious we're holding up Flip the Switch as well, because I don't have the mana for a Gale Drifter anyway. Because I main phased my card draw. I don't know, maybe I should have kept Infernal Grasp. I just feel like that 2 life's getting really painful here. When my opponent has 6 damage on board, we're essentially at 7. One land from being able to hold up Flip the Switch and cast Gale Drifter. Definitely got to draw pretty well here. Blade Stitched Scab is not horrible. Our opponent has something in hand that they can cast, and they're actively choosing not to, which means I think they're already playing around Flip the Switch anyway, to where they're not going to cast it till they have the 4 extra mana up. So I might just cast Gale Drifter here, because then, even if they weren't playing around Flip the Switch, that would be the most obvious Flip the Switch in the universe if I just hold it up here when I have the 5 mana up this time. I guess even if they play around it, we could have countered anything that costs 3 mana or more until they play another land. Like they just couldn't cast anything yet. Well, this is terrifying. Not into that at all. Are we just dead to something? Oh, it's something where if I was dealt damage, it might be the 3/4 flyer that makes me discard a card. That would be pretty devastating. Oh, it's the Cut Purse. Okay. That is not the end of the world. Wow, Cut Purse plus Midnight Ambush is really bad. Although drawing Exile removal off the top is beautiful. Alright, shields are down for another turn here, because I didn't think it was worth sacrificing the Hobbling Zombie, especially when Flip the Switch is getting to the point where it's not gonna counter much. Alright, life totals are kind of even. Life totals and cards now. I've got 2 on board, they've got 2 in hand. Both of these are fine trades for the Outlaw. And I win the race, I think. I have to hit them 3 times, they have to hit me 3 times, and I hit them first. Oh, this is getting stressful. Yikes. Okay, Jadar. Oh shoot, oh my god, no, I might have just thrown the game. If I attempted to counter that with Flip the Switch, I'd get the Decayed Zombie anyway. And I would have had exact lethal. Oh my god. Would have just lethaled them there. That was dumb of me. Yeah, even if they pay the 4, you still get the 2/2 zombie. It doesn't nullify the whole spell. I can try to do it now. But now because that can't block either, right? Yeah, that can't block either, so this is lethal. Alright. Played that one really, really poorly, but we got quite lucky with just the quality of draws there and the quality of cards in the deck. It's going to be 2-0 now against the mirror match. Each time we'll see if we get it thrice in a row here for our triple Morbid Opportunist deck. Alright, game 3 on the play. Larder Zombie into Falcon Abomination lets us use the Larder Zombie to set up our draws, digging for that swamp that we need. So that is why I'm justifying the mono-colored keep here. Plus, both of these black cards aren't cards that we need to put onto the board early game. They're just removal spells that we can cast much later for just as high impact. So we can wait on the black source here. Round 3 of the blue-black mirror match, what you can definitely expect out of quick draft formats with a poor color balance, like Innistrad Midnight Hunt. Morbid Opportunist. That's not fair. That's our card. Probably just gonna grasp that or defenestrate that before they get too much value off of it. Unfortunately, that's a tapped black source. So they are gonna get some amount of value off of this Opportunist. The plan now is gonna be to defenestrate to startle. Just to get a Decayed Zombie, draw a card, and let us use Larder Zombie again here. So preferably they have some way to try to get some damage in and then we can startle there. But even if they don't, I'm still going to startle for the zombie for Larder Zombie. Alright, no way to try to get damage in. Let's see if we can startle here. They might flip the switch, but that means they won't have it for our removal spell next turn. Alright, cool. Now we can Larder Zombie. A little worried about the counterspell now. Although Eaten Alive can get around it. So I think we definitely keep Eaten Alive and we cast that so that we're playing around Flip the Switch. I have to play my land first and then cast Eaten Alive, sacrificing a Decayed Zombie. meaning they are going to draw a card off Opportunist, but they're going to draw a card off Opportunist when it dies to either of these anyway. So might as well play around, flip the switch. Now, if they have the 4-mana counterspell, that's counterspell and shuffle 4 cards back, that's going to be devastating. But that card is played a lot less than the flip the switch, so played around the one that was more likely and got punished, unfortunately, which does happen. So they would have countered our removal spell no matter what, but by playing Eaten Alive now, the way that it played worse against Cover Up is that we gave them a card draw, and our removal spell got countered. The other removal spells would just get countered and go to the grave if they used Cover Up. Or they'd get exiled when they used Cover Up, but there would be no creatures dying that turn for our opponent to draw off Opportunist with. And now, since they exiled the exile removal we had, they're going to draw an additional card off the Morbid Opportunist when I finally kill it with Infernal Grasp here. I kind of want to use Infernal Grasp while my life total doesn't matter that much, but also the only way we're really doing anything here, the only way we're getting all this damage in is with a flyer, so I might want to hold Infernal Grasp because it can kill flyers. So weirdly enough, I think I'm actually going to Defenestrate Opportunist. That way, if our opponent plays flyers, we still have outs to those flyers. We definitely need to draw some stuff. Our opponent is definitely head and card advantage. We're at 20... Wait. Have I drawn more cards than my opponent somehow? Oh, I tutored a land out with Evolving Wilds and I can trip to a Startle, but our opponent has had more straight up card advantage and now dramatically more Crawl from the Cellar to get more but Opportunist back. We're going to start drowning in our opponent's mountain of cards here. Definitely the karma game for having had the triple Morbid Opportunists, the double Morbid Opportunist in an earlier game today. I don't think that actually does enough here. Humbling Zombie is something. Whatever I kill, they just have another Crawl from the Cellar because of the flashback. That's another pretty great card for the archetype that I don't think we saw any in our draft pod. Which is a little rough. We got other things that are nice, like a bunch of great removal and triple Opportunist, obviously. But yeah, this feels like it's going to be pretty over here. It's definitely like a startle from them, but they probably don't have two startles. So one of their creatures dies here. Alright, just letting it through for now. Eaten Alive seems solid off the top. Spectral Adversary. Phase out whatever they want. So save one of their creatures from combat here. Or they could phase out one of our larder zombies to kill the other one without losing Siege Zombie. So that's like kind of the same as if they had a startle. Except they get a body out now as well, which is not good. I'm at 7 life. I can't really grasp. This was what I was worried about with grasp. $12. Yeah, I mean, we're just dead. They just ran away with it with Opportunist. I guess our best bet is to get the flyer out of the way in a way that doesn't lose us life. But then I have one blocker. They're drawing another card. And we're not dealing with the Morbid Opportunist. Oh. Oh, that's bad. And they have a 5/5 menace, double block, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't attack anymore. Or we're dead on board. Now I go to 1 life. Now I'm dead. Well, that was very similar to all the other games there, where it was really just Morbid Opportunist's game, that card running away with it by giving one player 4+ cards more than the other player. Just a very basic lesson in card advantage there, of how card advantage alone can easily win games. But that is the one game of the day where the Morbid Opportunist was our opponent's and not ours. So 2-1 as we head into game 4. Alright, turn 3 Morbid Opportunist. Can't mulligan that away. Get the double black off this Evolving Wilds for Eaten Alives. Or I could get the other blue. We've had a game earlier today where we had multiple blue instants and just one blue source for many turns in a row, so double blue actually pretty important too. Alright, opponent is on the play. They are on green. That's out of fashion. The first non-blue black player? Green-red werewolves, turn 2 Kessig Naturalist. Okay, I'm actually worried. Actually worried here. Because that is a great start for the werewolf deck, giving them a mana every time it attacks. And if it flips to Knight, it's a 3/3 that gives all of their other wolves and werewolves +1/+1. I can't really just let the werewolf deck flip to Knight immediately, especially when it's going to be really hard to flip back to day, so I have to startle main phase. Like if it flips to Knight here, it's going to be really hard to flip it back to day. So we need to do what we can to prevent that. Uh-oh, they are ramping here. Mana Dork into Mana Dork. They have 6 mana next turn if they play an untapped land. Tempted to play Opportunist and make sure I've got the card draw, but I know that I'll have that long game. Definitely want to play something during my turn still, so maybe a Hobbling Zombie keeps them off the attacks. It plays pretty similarly to how Defenestrate would, although they do get to actually get a mana off the attack. Alright, well, this is a snap block. But this seems pretty likely to be a trick from our opponent. I don't know what it would be, though. Maybe it's Graveyard Recursion. Because so far we have traded with the Werewolf Lord. Alright, Tireless Hauler. Well, this was far from as bad as things could have gone for us. So that is quite okay with me. I can defenestrate that or flip the switch if they cast something better. Yeah, my deck's really good against just resolved really big individual threats. I was just scared of like a blowout curve of just werewolf, 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 werewolf. But since that hasn't happened, starting to get a little comfortable. Tempted to Hobbling Zombie and Larder Zombie here, as it's the most mana efficient and still holds the Tireless Hauler off of us. The one thing I don't like about doing this is Larder Zombie was the easiest way that I could flip back to day if it ever becomes night, because that's only one additional mana to get another spell cast that turn. But at this point, if it's nighttime, we'll just blow up a giant werewolf. Ooh, or a giant contortionist troop. That's going to put a +1/+1 counter on one of their creatures during their end step every turn. Yeah, we are definitely blowing that up. Although again, I don't need to blow it up immediately. Because no matter how big the creatures are, they trade into 1 Death Toucher, 1 Defenestrate. Doesn't actually do anything right now, but it is tempting for the future. If they didn't put the counter on Rejuvenator, that would have been a sick draw. Yeah, I'm just going to get rid of it. Make sure we have stuff for the here and now. So again, if I don't cast a spell, it's nighttime, and that's a 6/6 Vigilance, but I just trade. Still going to drop Opportunist. I'm getting greedy here, but I want to be able to be drawing cards as I'm trading my removal spells off into their stuff, so I can just guarantee that I win the long game. So land off the top would actually be great for us here, because then we get to cast Opportunist and hold up Defenestrate or flip the switch. So that's what we would like to dig for. Snap trade for the Hobbling Zombie here. And probably take that 3 damage. Actually could have gotten another look at the top off of Larder Zombie if I did that before that creature died. Because it would have been tap 3, produce a 2/2, tap 3. Shadow Beast Sighting's pretty good here because it's going to be 2 creatures off of 1 card, which can make up for the fact that I'm drawing cards every time I kill one of their creatures. Alright, looks like it didn't matter, we had exactly what we wanted to draw on top anyway. Three cards. Could ditch a 2/2 to draw 2, but I'm good for now. I have everything I could need currently. So holding up Flip to Switch to counter the Shadow Beast Sighting, I suppose. I guess I can't really afford to do that at 13 life here. We kind of have to stop some damage this turn. Yeah, opponent has a lot of power on the board. So I know I can flip the switch this, but then I'm not casting removal spells this turn. I could chump block with an Opportunist and draw 2. Honestly, probably actually worth it. You know what? I am going to flip the switch this. Opportunists are probably better than larger zombie. Take 7. I will definitely keep that. And now we just draw infinite cards and play way more cards than our opponent to catch up with the board state. Still gonna need to hold opportunists as potential chump block. Ooh, Scab Wrangler, 4, 5, 6, 7 creatures after I play that. Not quite to Scab Wrangler levels of decayed zombies, but I am close. I think for now I want to get the Death Toucher down and defenestrate this turn. But I'm actually just going to hold all the zombies now that I have a Scab Wrangler coming up. So I can keep these all and get my creature count as high as possible for the Wrangler. But Wrangler is going to be the perfect card to try to control this green-red deck. Keep them tapped down. Neonate's Rush, 1 damage to the zombie. We take a damage too, which is painful. That doesn't quite kill it unless they have 2 copies. Alright. It will stay on board. Go to 2 life if I don't chump the Rejuvenator. I think I do. Got another Opportunist anyway. Triple Opportunist deck, let's go. Stinger. Okay. So I need to tap down 2 creatures a turn, which means I need 6 creatures to play around with. Means I just play Falcon Abomination here, and then we're good. We're groovy. Now I have 6 decayed zombies and everything else I can attack with as I choose. And I'm still holding up Infernal Grasp if I need it. "17 cards in library. I'll trade this for a Stinger if they want. Especially when I have the backup. They do not want to do that. So if I ever cast this Infernal Grasp, I'm going to die to a Moonrager Slash, which is a 3 damage instant in the format, so I would highly prefer to not have to cast this Infernal Grasp. So we're going to do what we can to not do that. But I am going to hold it up as a last-ditch effort backup plan here. Awakener's great. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. They are not dead. Next turn we should be able to attack with everybody for lethal after I play a couple more creatures here. I guess I am still holding up Infernal Grasp rather than playing Angler. Pass turn, flip Awakener. Gale Drifter. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 damage. Block there, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 16 damage. If I Infernal Grasp, I have lethal, but I'm also leaving myself dead to their card in hand being Moonrager Slash. I feel like I have this game on lock well enough to not try to Infernal Grasp here. Could. This is also moderately risky for different reasons, but I could play 3 creatures, tap down Hauler, and then attack all. It's a tiny bit less risky, I think. Because then I don't die to Moonrager Slash. But I still lose if they have instant speed removal, like the fight spell or something. Yeah, I'll just try to kill them next turn, still, I think. Don't want to lose to instant speed removal. And I can definitely make sure every creature they have is untapped before my turn even starts. Now. Alright, they're going to scoop them up here. Scab Wrangler, definitely a frustrating card to play against. So I might have played that one overly safe. I've definitely been playing like some poop today, but that's okay because I've drafted a pretty great deck and we are 3-1 so far as we head into round 5. Alright, round 5 we're on the play. We've got a turn 1 Awakener, we have a turn 3 Opportunist, Hobbling Zombie, or Flip the Switch. A lot of good stuff to start this one off. Our opponent takes a mulligan. Alright, down to 6 cards, and they will keep that. Gavany Trapper, turn 1. That's going to lock out any early damage from the Ecstatic Awakener, and it can lock out a big creature later. Evolving Wilds into their second color, I'm guessing. Nope. Double white. So they've got that ready for whatever they might need to play. This is dumb, but I'm tempted every time. I'm just going to start laying down Morbid Opportunists so that once creatures start dying here, we just, once again, run away with the game in terms of card advantage. They are black-white, and they're going to play an Arrogant Outlaw. Pretty fine. Just a 3-2 this game. Got a Startle. We're just dropping Opportunists. Passing the turn. Taking 3 damage here. And hopefully hitting a land to be able to hold up Startle and flip the switch, or play the zombie and hold up Startle. Both are solid lines. Down to 17. And they're going to play a Search Party Captain. Very nice 2-for-1. It is a 2-2. And they draw a card. I do have the Startle mana here. I'm going to go for the Hobbling Zombie. So I have something on board that I am ready and willing to trade. So we can start getting the Opportunist value that we so desire. Our opponent has 5 mana up now. They can tap out whatever they want with Trapper. They're going to play Elisa. And I don't have the Flip the Switch up, so I will lose. Yep, whenever their creatures die, they just come right back to the board. When our creatures die, they get exiled. We have a lot of removal spells that will work quite well here to try to draw into, so we're definitely going to make sure a creature dies this turn. Turn that card to its owner's hand. Okay, so their cards just go back to hand. So, whoa. Almost did that really wrong. So we're going to startle the Outlaw. So that's going to go back to their hand, but we're still going to draw 1 from Startle and 2 from the Opportunists to dig for removal that kills Lisa. Draw another card this turn. It's not going to do it. Defenestrate doesn't kill flyers. We can attack with our Decayed Zombie and draw 2 more cards. I'd love to play Opportunist first, so we draw 3, but then I don't have a black mana up for the removal spell. If I draw a Swamp and the removal spell, that'll get there, but I think it's better to just attack with this 1 Decayed Zombie. Oh wait, no, it gets exiled, so nothing even dies this turn, technically. Right? We don't get to draw any cards off our own creatures. Well, at least they let the 2 damage in. That's devastating. Jesus. So I guess we have to defenestrate their creature here. A non-Lysa. I don't really want to defenestrate Captain, give them another card draw, so I guess I'm shooting Trapper, just digging for ways to kill Lisa. Foul Play doesn't do it, but now we've got the flip the switch mana at least. We have 2 Eaten Alive and an Infernal Grasp, and that is what we're looking for. Foul Play does draw us 3 cards next turn, if we have the mana up. No, that's scary enough to flip. Siege Zombie, a way for them to get damage onto us without even having to attack through our board state. Don't love that. Alright, Outlaw's gonna drain some life. Auto Tapper got them there, I think. No, they cast 2 black spells. So yeah, they couldn't afford the Trapper regardless. Okay. In order to draw cards here, I need to Foul Play. What are my outs to Lisa? It's Infernal Grasp, which costs 2 mana. And Eaten Alive, which costs 1. So if I spend 3 for Opportunist and 2 for Foul Play, I still have enough mana for any of my outs here. Although I really need it to be Eaten Alive now that they have a Crawl from the Cellar. Although I have the Flip the Switch, and they can't return Lysa and Caster in the same turn. So yeah, Infernal Grasp would work too. So we Opportunist, then we Foul Play and draw 3. There's Infernal Grasp. And Eaten Alive. Okay, we definitely cast Eaten Alive to exile her, so we don't even have to worry about the Crawl from the Cellar. And we sack the Decayed Zombie. And things just went from devastating to us to pretty much tied. Yeah, I can double block an Outlaw at this point. I'm halfway through my deck. I don't need triple Opportunist anymore. But yeah, things are pretty much tied here, because I think I have the better board plus cards in hand by a tiny bit, but opponent has twice the life total, which matters a little bit, but not as much as you would think. So I'm like 50-50. This game goes either way at this point. Kill 1 Opportunist, we draw 3. And every time all the Opportunists trigger, I feel like the odds like skew in our favor on the whole Like the chess advantage meter. Here, a bunch of tutus. You got it. The siege zombie is the only scary one. Everything else we can block forever. Okay. I want to get some damage in now. I need to start turning the corner. I want to hold up, flip the switch. I got an Infernal Grasp a siege zombie because it's kind of the only thing killing me at this point. And then just hold up, flip the switch. That seems fine. If I don't cast flip the switch, I flip Awakener instead. Then they crawl from the cellar their siege zombie back to hand, which costs them 4. And they don't have the mana to recast it through a flip the switch yet. Ooh, no damage to me. They just let that happen. Cool. I can send in the Hobbling Zombie. I still got enough blockers for everything. And we need to put pressure on our opponent because they've got ways to make us lose life like the Siege Zombie. Alright, Ritual Guardian. Gavany Trapper, that means they're going to have Coven. I can just trade into Candlegrove Witch though, that's fine. Could also Startle to win that combat. Getting really low on cards in library, but still. Slam Dunk the Flip the Switch. No Siege Zombie. Now that I had to spend that for the Flip the Switch, I don't get to keep Falcon Abomination out if I trade into the Candlegrove Witch. But they did not want the trade, and we drew into an Eaten Alive. It's feeling good. It's feeling good. Probably exile Gavany Trapper, and then they don't have Coven anymore for the Witch, and if they get it, I can Startle still. Yeah, they have no Coven on anything anymore. Still got 1/3 blockers for everything. Okay, we're gonna take a trade there. Just need to not mill out. I'm glad I let the first opportunist die. Rather hold up Startle and Awakener than play Gale Drifter right now. That might be wrong, because playing Gale Drifter speeds up the damage process. But I really like having open mana. Ooh. Ooh, I wish it was open mana and flip the switch though, because that card is pain incarnate. Oh my god, yeah, that's really bad. Oof, they hit a card they can recast from grave as well. That is tremendously painful. Blade Stitch Scab is really good. One, two, three. If I play Blade Stitch Scab, these are all 3 damage. That's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. They stop 7. Not lethal yet, but they should be dead in 2 turns to Blade Stitch Scab. So I just need to somehow not die to this Dreadhound and have a bunch of creatures left over. Pretty sure I'm just casting everybody. 2 creatures die here. Go down to 5. Might be missing lethal here. I probably should have done the math, but that's a lot of math. Land, land. Okay. Three blockers. They block 3 of our 3 power creatures. Actually, they block the 4, the 3, and the 3. So they block this, and 2 of these. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. They're dead on board if I attack with everybody. So if I can get a removal spell off the top, they're dead, like no matter what's in their hand. But what do I have left in my deck even? I don't know if I even have a removal spell left. Oh, and Untapped is not working at all today. Oh, there we go. I have a Startle, I have a Scab Wrangler, but I don't have straight removal. So I guess I just keep that. Well, I guess it doesn't matter, because if I don't kill them this turn, then they just kill me. On the crackback, especially if I attack with everybody. Yeah, so it literally doesn't really matter at all what's on top. We just say done, and then we attack all. And see if I did the math right. Plus 12, 14, 15, 16, yep. Alright, that was spooky. That was scarier than it needed to be. I think that we drew pretty well and we had some pretty great cards, but again, just some kind of loose lines, giving our opponent some opportunities to potentially get some outs there. That Dreadhound was horrifying, but just another pretty lucky one in the end. Going to push us into 4-1 now as we head into game 6. Alright, we are on the play here. We have a Bait Hook Angler and a Startle to cycle to try to hit the swamp, and if we do, the hand is incredible. So, far from a risk-free hand, but I think it's worth the risk with the strength of the cards in it. Playing against a red deck. They are red-blue, which is a pretty fun one. Could be blue-red spells here. Luckily, we do hit the swamp turn 3, so we slam down a Hobbling Zombie. Make the most of all 3 of our mana. Brimstone Vandal is the play. Love to get that out of the way. Unfortunately, I can't do that and have a swamp up, so we're going to have to just not play the Scab this turn. And now I can startle if need be. Probably not. We're probably just going to draw a card off of the clue token we just made, which should be quite nice. Alright, an Organ Hoarder. Opponent's going to get some value here. We'll draw from our clue. We do hit the second swamp. Ooh, an opponent did mill a Bait Hook Angler, so they did get some value there. Milling a Disturb card that's recastable from grave. Alright, we're gonna let that trade happen. Opponent went with the Smart block there, because that is a block that gets around Startle. I didn't play Scab pre-combat because if my opponent went for the block that plays around Startle, I wanted to be able to play Gale Drifter instead. If they went for Organ Hoarder on Hobbling Zombie, then I was just going to Startle and play Scab in the same turn. But instead, we didn't have to Startle there, so we'll spend all our mana into the bigger flyer. And have the Startle for later. Moonrager's Slash luckily does not exile that Gale Drifter, which is pretty good for us. They have a 1/2, which can't kill this zombie. 6 mana here. I can play Scab and Falcon Abomination. Or I could play Scab, Angler, and hold up a Startle. That would use all 6 mana, but there's nothing really to startle. So I think I would rather just play Scab and Abomination, because those cards just work really well in conjunction. Definitely play Scab pre-combat so we get 1 more damage, but we can wait on Falcon Abomination, not that it really matters when our opponent is tapped out. Alright, Elementalist, very great value going on in their deck. Pick up a Moonrager Slash. They can't afford it yet, but that will be very good on our Blade Stitch Scab in the future. Now we're going to have 7 mana, so we can hold up a Startle and still cast Gale Drifter. Yep, Startle looks pretty good this combat. We also want to make sure that our Decayed Zombie gets in for 3 damage before our Blade Stitch Scab dies, because this is more damage than the Decayed Zombie is going to do in the future, assuming that the Scab is the target for Moonrager Slash. Alright, no use of startling here, we just let it happen. That's pretty fancy. That's very good value. They draw a card here and they'll draw another card out of grave when they recast that. That is incredibly fancy, yeah. But opponent is also incredibly low on life, so it's probably going to be fine. And there's no reason to hold up Startle when our opponent doesn't even have creatures. Let's just hope they don't have Burn Down the House. There's 1 card in the set that wins here. It's Burn Down the House. If they do not have that card, I am fairly certain there's no way to get out of us lethaling them on our next attack. Maybe they can get to where we just hit them down to 1 with a really good conjunction of sweet removal spells, but looks like that is not the case. We are going to be 5-1. Burn Down the House is a rare in the set that's 5 to each creature that they could have had, so luckily for us, no Burn Down the House. Brings us to round 7. Alright, round 7 on the play. Turn 2 Blade Stitch Scab, turn 3 Falcon Abomination. It's probably like the best Blade Stitch Scab curve. Unless you're incredibly lucky and you can play turn 1 Champion of the Perished. That's a rare zombie that gets a +1/+1 counter whenever another zombie hits the board. That's probably the literal best Blade Stitch Scab curve that you can do. Turn 1 Champion of the Perished, turn 2 Blade Stitch Scab, turn 3 Falcon Abomination. Just would be pretty nuts. We're in the mirror match again. Opponent had their own turn 2 Blade Stitch Scab. We'll see if they have the turn 3 Falcon Abomination. That would be quite funny. If I hit another swamp, I might sacrifice a zombie to eat alive their Scab. If I don't, though, I might just Infernal Grasp it. Although, if it's the only creature on the board, we don't really need to. I can hold up a Flip the Switch as well here now. If they resolve anything, I'll eat it alive. We'll keep playing creatures on the board first. So I have the answers to anything that gets resolved. So if we run out of creatures to play, obviously, we'll just hold out the mana. But for now, try to get threats down. Ooh, that's gonna get killed by something. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. At the beginning of your upkeep, put all cards exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control that gain Decayed. I only have 1 black source. I think I might as well do Eaten Alive, because that's the only way I'm holding up Flip the Switch. And this plays around our opponent having the Crawl from the Cellar to bring her back to their hand. Alright, opponent's down to 12. Looks like it might be no spells here, at least not till main phase 2. Gale Drifter, I'm just going to flip that. They can recast it from grave, but it's going to cost them 5 mana to put a 2/2 on the board, so it's not going to be very helpful to them. And I'm just going to play Foul Play here so I can draw another card. Looking for more threats to close out this game as quickly as possible. See, I'll sack the clue right now in case I hit a land to play. Alright, we did not. can't imagine there's going to be anything drastically better than a Blade Stitch Scab to cast a Foul Play onto. Like, Gale Drifter is pretty equivalent to 2/3 that makes all their zombies +1/+0, or a 2/2 flyer. At this point, I feel like the 2/3 on the ground is more important to kill. We'll see. They do recast the Gale Drifter as the Whale Drifter. We're going to draw a card here no matter what. So they're probably going to take the trade while they can. And then I'll have Infernal Grasp for the next creature. I could just Grasp there, put them to 2. So this might be playing it overly safe. Yeah, I probably should have just Grasped and put them to 2. But I want to have the answer to like a really good creature coming up. I'm not going to have the mana to play around Flip the Switch here, so we'll just try to Grasp the Wrangler. Okay, no Flip the Switch, they're just going to scoop. Technically 1 damage from lethal, but they may just be out of cards at that point. And Morbid Opportunist is popping off now, giving us extra cards, so definitely a rough position for them to be in, and we are now 6-1 heading into what could be the final round, but no matter what, we've got an additional round after this. Got 2 shots to get another 7-win run in the Midnight Hunt quick drafts. Alright, here we are in what could be the final game. We've drawn quite well here. Infernal Grasp, double Flip the Switch for later, probably still just jamming out a Falcon Abomination early, because I'll still have the Infernal Grasp to kill any creature they resolve that needs to die. And this way, I have some sacrificial fodder for the Awakener, and I'm putting some pressure on my opponent's life total. They're on red-black Vampires here with Vampire Interloper, a really good way for them to guarantee they're getting in for damage and triggering all the cards that care about having dealt damage to me. It may even be worth trading my Falcon Abomination into the Interloper because of how many cards in the Vampire strategy care about having dealt damage to your opponent this turn. So yeah, I think I'm going to snap off this trade actually, weirdly enough. Just make sure they haven't dealt damage to me this turn. And another Interloper, that makes it awkward for sure. Light up the Night, 1 damage to my 1/1. Very nice rare removal spell there. I still have this Infernal Grasp, so I'm going to rely on that a little bit here and just start drawing cards off Opportunist if I can. So I actually get some action here instead of entirely interaction. Alright, well, more interaction it doesn't hurt, but definitely want to get some creatures. So the Light Up the Night, they can recast it from grave if they have a Planeswalker on board to remove loyalty counters from. I doubt that's going to happen. I am going to lose this race to a Vampire Interloper, so I might have to Infernal Grasp that. Which isn't great, but at least I have 2 Flip the Switches for their next threats. And I draw a card off Opportunist, of course. They've got 4 cards in hand and 5 mana up here. Gotta have something. Blood Tithe Collector, Slam Dunk, Flip the Switch. That was an excellent counterspell for us, and now we drew into the Blade Stitch Scab. We get to play pre-combat to hit for 1 more damage with this Decayed Zombie before it draws us a card off Opportunist. Once again, just showing off how good this friggin' Morbid Opportunist is, especially with these Decayed Zombies. Alright, flip the switch. And that's the Slam Scoop the second they saw me pulling out the interaction. Slam Dunk Scoop just immediately. Definitely made similar scoops against some nasty archetypes. I think I did in the Arena Open Day 2 when I was against like a real sick Defenders deck. We got into game 2 and I'm like, yeah, if they have any interaction here to save this thing, we're gonna die. And then the millisecond that counterspell or whatever it was went on the stack, I was like, yep, I'm out. It happens. Really rough time for our opponent there. Rough time for most of our opponents because Blue-Black Decayed is completely busted in this format. Blue and black just have a multitude of great commons, great card advantage, great removal, great counter spells, and a great archetype with the zombies, with the Blade Stitch Scabs and the Opportunists and all of that stuff. So really just showing off the menace of the format there and getting a nice 7-win run with it. We did get 1 loss under the belt this time, so we didn't get 2 7-0s in a row, but still a pretty good time in the return to the Midnight Hunt quick drafts. But that is going to end today's video, and that is going to end the quick drafts of Midnight Hunt for a while here, because we do have Dominar United Alchemy Premier Drafts starting tomorrow. That is when they start putting 1 Alchemy card in every pack of Dominar United to mix it up, make it more interesting, more random here. So I'm definitely going to be playing a few of those. It's always a fun time to just mess around with some random alchemy cards in the middle of draft. It's not like the greatest competitive format ever, but Dominar United competitive limited season is over. The Arena Open and the qualifier weekend events are both behind us now. So since we're in variety month of drafts, I'm pretty cool with them throwing in just random alchemy Dominar United drafts to add to the variety. So we've got that coming up next week. After that, we have Throne of Eldraine Premier drafts. We'll be back on Arena for a week. And there will also be Plane Shift Streets of New Capenna drafts. I have no idea what that means. Plane Shifted New Capenna drafts. So we'll find out soon enough. And at the end of the month, quick drafts will be Innistrad Crimson Vow. So we get to play both of the spooky sets. We'll do at least a couple drafts of that as well for the October month. So lots of great variety draft stuff on the horizon if you're interested. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.